Hello everyone, I hope you all had a green day today. I am going to talk about whether it is okay for someone who is a profitable trader to flip back to sim. Now, if you're a long-time subscriber or maybe follow me on StockTwits, you'll know that I am of the belief that it's totally okay. In fact, I do it quite often. So, furthermore in this video, we're going to talk about the daily plan, and we're going to take a look at the intraday order flow. So without further ado, let's start with the daily plan. We'll go over the trades that I took, which were in sim. I flipped to sim today, but again, we'll talk about that in a little bit when we get there. So creating my daily plan, again, if you guys are always with me, you'll know how I create them. They start with the TPO charts. TPO charts stand for time price opportunity charts, and they have to deal with time, right? Time is a huge factor in the markets. And I understand these may look confusing if you are new to them, but they're very simple. They just look confusing. They're not. And we use TPO to look at market structure. It just makes looking at whether we're in balance, out of balance. Are we cleaning structure, leaving structure behind? All that stuff much more palatable for our eyes rather than trying to dissect this with something with a little bit more subjectivity like candlestick charts. So there's a fair bit of information that we could take from our TPO charts, but again, you're just taking a quick glance at this in the morning because you already know what the market structure is, and you're just looking at what the overnight session did, or in my case, that's the case, right, because I don't trade the London session. So from here, after annotating, marking up my TPO charts, I come to our original screen, which is how I monitor the order flow. Not just on a 4-hour time frame. This is a footprint chart if you're unfamiliar. Pinned to the home of the YouTube channel, I have a video going over how to read my specific footprint charts. Right? We're looking at transacted volume. Do we have a buyer in the market? Do we have a seller? Is one side aggressive? Is one side absorbing? And that's at real time when we're looking at something maybe like an entry. But we could also look at the historical data and see, do we have a significant offer that's here? Or do we have a passive seller somewhere where they're sitting at a level and they're happy to sell? Is one side more aggressive where they're moving up on a tape with a bid or moving down on the tape with an offer? Do we have trapped volume, low volume areas, high volume areas, right? Each of these different things, when we put that on top of the market structure, where they're located in the market structure and all that stuff, allows us to paint a picture and know exactly what's going on, right? Takes out a lot of subjectivity that I think many traders have, because a lot of traders are focused on maybe things that don't matter as much. So from the 4-hour, I go to the daily, and I do the same exact thing, just a larger time framed perspective rather. We can see where we can see where larger time frame participants are located, and everything we're talking about here, right? Low volume areas, high volume areas. Do we have exhaustion at lows? Do we not? Do we have, are we transacting a lot at lows or highs? And we put this on top of what we know from the TPO, what we know from the 4-hour, and then we could create the daily plan. So today's daily plan, we had 2 sell zones, 1 buy zone. And as you can see, we have not traded any zone. And when we look at the TPO, what do we see? I think we were talking about this in yesterday's video, shapes of TPO profiles, right? This is some of the stuff that we look at on TPO charts. We see a balanced session, right? Capital D shape is balance. What does balance mean, right? We see this overnight. We are building balance at this level. It means the auction is happy here. Buyers and sellers are happy to transact here. So again, this is, I feel like it's been a little bit since I've spoken about it, but balanced sessions, you need to trade each session differently, whether it's a balance day, a trend day, double distribution. There's a whole bunch of different day types that you have to learn and know how price action tends to go on those days and manage your trades accordingly, right? If I have high conviction that a trend day is coming up and I get a good entry, I'm not going to take a majority off. I'm not going to take 90% off at my first target. I'll peel off half and let the rest ride. But if I'm playing a trend day where I know I shouldn't be expecting range, I'm going to take heavier percentages off at my first targets because I know that's where the majority or rather the move is likely in that 6 to 9 point range, sometimes 12 depending on the range, of course. So yeah, you just have to manage your trades. So when we're at a balance day, not near inflection points, your risk in the market is going to be a lot more. Why is that? Well, inflection points, is the best risk to reward, right? These are key inflection points that you see on multiple time frames, multiple different tools that you use. In my case, the TPO, the footprint, everything. There's lots of confluence between those. I see this on the TPO, I see that on the 4-hour, etc., etc. With market auction theory, all that stuff. The risk is much less to take trades here than it is just in no man's land, if you will. I like trading balance days, but it's not the easiest to trade them when we're not at inflection points. I prefer not to trade them. So again, what I did was flip to Sim. So let's go over the trades I took. Actually, let's actually take a look at the 30-minute footprint chart and just look at how this action played. So I think it took us over an hour into the cash session to trade more than 10 points. That just goes to show how slow this was, right? Very slow, dull action. We have CPI tomorrow, right? So sentiment between bears and bulls is going to be less, right? Everyone's waiting on economic data. So just, computers trading back and forth, rotating ticks. So IB closed, initial balance, for those who don't know, it's just the first hour trading, and that's what this highlighted light blue rectangle is, the high and the low, right? So I entered with a stop run of initial balance. We see a lot of volume being built here. I want to enter on the stop out. We get an impulse low, and smaller time frames we get to see buyers really stepping in. We go into a little bit more detail in the room, right, along with the daily plan. So I annotate each of those charts, and I send them in the daily plan tab room. So whether you're a successful trader already or someone who wants to just compare your reading to mine, you could see the annotations, what I see on the 4-hour, what I see on the daily chart, and the TPO charts. Now for people in the mentorship group, it's just a small group of us who trade the same way, right? Trading order flow, market auction theory, and whatnot. For those, I create a video every morning as well, going over each of the levels, what was behind them in the TPO or the footprint that built confluence, why a zone is a buy zone and not a very cautious buy zone or something like that. So today, saw a bidder bidding, I think it was 32s. I chased it a little bit here, and I got stopped out, right? I entered on the initial bid, right? When we look left, someone was already bidding here, and I'm not looking at this through candlestick charts, right? I'm reading the order flow. It's just maybe easier for most people to understand this. So in this area, we had someone bidding, the initial bid. We come out of it. I'm looking to buy a rebid. We rebid a little bit. I entered, then another stop run, right? I'm stopped here, and I just see this. I see the stop run on the tape, right? So I re-enter immediately, mark it in. So at this point, I'm down 1R. Re-enter, and we could see already where I entered the first time. This is being rebid here. Someone's still supporting this. This was just a stop run. And sure enough, we accept over it, test back again. And I took, -1R I meant to write. What did I take? Was it 80%? I think it was. I think I took 80% off at my first target. So this puts me, half an R, maybe a third R positive. Let's just call it a quarter. So just a little bit, and then I'm holding the rest. Again, this is a sim trade, but the problem, and people have such a knock against sim because people don't trade it as if it was real. People try to trade every single inflection point rather than treating it as you would trade live money. For those who watch, and I go over all my trades, this is similar to how I trade, right? I see a bid, I want to enter on a stop out. I didn't do that here. This is where I should have entered. Hindsight, of course, but I was entering on a rebid. We did have an active bidder here on the tape, but I really should have known better. But that's why we have risk to reward too. So I have webinars on the website, some about different ways we can manage our risk, risk to reward profiles. You have to look at your win percentages. You need to be analytical about your win-loss ratio and how much if you have positive EV or not. Then you have to adjust your risk to reward, maybe go back and sim and whatnot. But we talk about that stuff there. This is the trading that I took today. I'm just checking a different screen so I can update partial. Will probably be overnight high. I'll probably take off this is what I'm talking about. This is a balance day. We have CPI tomorrow. I should take all of it off there. Final target, Globex high, 41.49. But we all have that greed, right? You just want to hold for longer. But think about it over the long run. You need to take your base hits, which was my 2R, and then our runners pay our bonuses. But it doesn't pay us if it's going to come back to us. You can't expect to swing for the fences on balance days. So just making sure I typed this correctly. There we go. So in this last bit, I'm going to make, these runners are going to end up making, I think, 6R, which isn't bad at all, right? Even though it was only 20 or 25% of my original position, that goes a long way, doesn't it? So I hope you guys all had a great day today. Flip to sim. Take advantage of it. Treat it as if it was real. You shouldn't be trading live funds if you aren't profitable month over month in sim anyway, in my opinion. And that's a hill I'm willing to die on. But again, I hope you guys all had a green day today, green week, and we should have a very exciting day tomorrow with CPI.